Are you on the edge of your seat?
Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams.
On today's latest trends in location-based entertainment.
Brought to you by the LBX Collective.
Your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
Alrighty, everyone. Let's buckle up.
Well. Hello, everybody. This is Sound Off episode number 48. Oh boy, we're getting old. Yeah. Alrighty. So today we're going to be diving into the latest trends in business and technology and location-based entertainment as per usual. But before we get started, let's kick things off with, I changed my mind. What do you have on deck for us today, sir?
Well, I was very mindful of some of the stories that are coming out of the media regarding guest experiences at certain facilities. And I was wondering, how can we guarantee our audience gets a fair shake of the tree? And maybe it's time that we offer the guests a charter. And what I mean by a charter is before they cross the threshold of our facility, we have defined the level of engagement, experience, and entertainment that we're offering at our facility, more than just saying we got bumper cars or we got laser tag or we got simulator, going and saying this is a particular entertainment that is aimed at this particular audience. And it offers this level of entertainment for this duration. And it may be that charter could be used as a marketing tool. So people that are planning to come to our facility, people that are planning to have events at our facilities know what they're getting for their money, the value proposition, but also we sort of usurp or sidestep, depending on TripAdvisor, to give individuals the expectations of what we have on our sites. I don't know if I'm smoking the wrong type of stuff in proposing this, but I think it's the same way that most people had a rough idea what they were getting at a Walt Disney Land facility entertainment experience. When Walt opened it, he did create a charter. A kind of promise to his then would-be guests, so that he would be creating a place of wonder and entertainment and immersion, an important word for this particular sound off. But then again, that has changed quite considerably over the years. Feelings, Christy?
Yeah, no, I love this idea. And this is definitely something that in my business processes and things that I've implemented in companies in the past, we did, but we called it something called a brand promise. Oh. And what we did is we wrote out a statement saying, this is what you can expect. This is service-wise what you would expect from us, experience-wise what you would expect for us when you come to our facility. And we made it customer-facing so that the customer knew what they were going to get when they arrived. And we also held our staff accountable to it. And we said, hey guys, this is what we're promising our customers. We need to live up to these expectations, so that they're not leaving feeling disappointed, or that they know what they're getting every time they come. And I think it's a really important piece to build into a culture of an organization when you are running your facilities, so that the staff know what they need to be living up to and what the experience needs to be for the customer.
And you've hit the nail on the head regarding the staff, because I've been to a number of facilities where I've asked them what their USP is, unique selling point, or what makes them special to warrant the support that we're giving them. And not every member of staff has been able to cogently describe what they're offering. Some of them have actually made mistakes which have had to be corrected. And this was for a facility that was over 10 years old. So I would argue that having a Bible, having a master brief of what your guest experience is, having that as a charter, and making sure that every employee has memorized or is familiar with that charter and updated it as you update the attractions, experiences, and pricings of your facilities is essential to ensuring that your brand stays popular.
Yep. Check. Nailed it on the head. I love it. Fabulous.
Well, it's that time.
Okay. It is that time. Okay. Hold on a second. I feel new. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors. Hang tight, everyone.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Intercard.
Yes.
Well, 48, and here we go. So I apologize for the formatting errors on these slides. I've been using PowerPoint for how many years, and I'm still having issues regarding the compression rate for this recording. I will try and do better. B- on the slides there, Mr. Williams. Anyway, we're talking about the trends in the business as well as the technology aspects of the sector. One of those areas of trend that we've been talking about is cinetainment, and how the cinema industry is embracing the entertainment side. One of the UK's leading chains of cinema that has incorporated a strong entertainment component, and as well as an F&B into the mix of their cinema ongoing experience is the Light. And the Light has suddenly been acquired. They've been taken over by a group of entrepreneurs in the hospitality sector, as well as some risk capital operations. Anyway, the companies have jumped in. They have taken control of, I think we're talking about 10 facilities under the Light brand. And they've also come with a pot of rebranding and updating cash. So 15 million pounds is going to be injected into the operation over the next 2 years, and that will include mergers, acquisitions, and rebrandings. I don't think heavy rebrandings, but I think it will also include a more increased investment in their social entertainment aspects, along with their cinema operation. And I would argue that this is part of that food frenzy that we were talking about when charting Cineplex's situation, looking at what happened with Cineworld and their reshaping and restructuring, and how a number of the cinema chains in North America are now adding a cinetainment component, an Evo 8 style component to their business. Watch this space. We're getting very close to the Rec Room opening their facility, their brand new location. I'm hearing interesting things about how they've rebranded and repivoted the Rec Room concept from the original facilities that have already been opened in the chain. They are, funny enough, incorporating this structure into a previous cinema in the area, and I think we need to have you go down there, Christine, with a video camera. That's showing my age. With your phone, and capturing that, because I would like to see that. And the only time I ever get to jump off in Canada is if I take a Canadian trip down to Orlando, and I'm not doing it this time. So please, can you put that on your calendar?
I will. I'd love to do that. And I'd really, if I can, insert a comment about the Rec Room. And this isn't meant to be negative at all, but in my experiences with the Rec Room, the service has just been so terrible and so bad that I hope that not only with the rebrand, they've done different arcades and styles of attractions, but they fixed that service level, because it was like going to a movie. And when I go to a Rec Room and want to spend all this money on arcade and different attractions, I don't want to be serviced by the same people that are servicing me when I go to a movie theater. So I hope they've up-leveled their customer service.
Yeah, customer service needs to be up-leveled. I've had the pleasure of trying their first facilities and their most recent facilities, and I hadn't seen the customer service improve, though I had seen the layout and the operations side improve. So fingers crossed. But looking forward to that review. Maybe you could use a Betamax camera to record this all on.
I don't know what that is.
Oh dear. Chuck E. Cheese. Well, it was interesting as I was filling out these slides for this week's presentation, as well as having to do the presentation for our new section about openings and closings. It was interesting that I had put in oh, look, Chuck E. Cheese has opened the first facility that has their trampoline site. And oh, look, they've just branded that's their fun center adventure zone. Someone really stayed up all night coming up with that name. Utah is lucky enough to have the first of the facilities that are rebranded this way. I wonder how long it's going to take them to go through and rebrand the rest. And then I suddenly wake up to the news that they've just been given, $350 million investment buckaroonies to start the process of modernizing their chain. And that chain will see a new brand pivot, a more focus on active entertainment. Where am I hearing that from before? As well as reevaluating the health options of their menu. So a lot of it's much more than a spring clean that was previously seen after they bounced out of bankruptcy protection. What I think we're seeing now is a really strong pivot by the mouse to establish itself in the burgeoning location-based entertainment landscape that we're seeing emerge in front of us. Do you have any comments about Chuck E. Cheese, Christine?
The only big thing that's really sticking out to me, it's great that they're doing this because I think that these facilities and these brands have to continue to rebound. It's great that they got this money. But it's just like, it's so expensive. It's so much money and you can never let up. You have to keep going. You got to keep pushing forward. You have to keep innovating, putting this new stuff in, and it just costs so much money. It's crazy.
If someone told me that they had allocated 300 million and change for their entry into the location-based entertainment, I'll be saying, oh, great, you're going to be opening 2 facilities.
Yeah.
It's like the 6 billion that was thrown around regarding Disney's reinvention. When you've got a couple of cruise line ships to also build, and you've got that number of parks, that money suddenly doesn't look that much. I would say that this money is going to go more onto branding and aesthetic values, and maybe some marketing positioning, more than totally changing the floor space of their facilities. That said, some of these flagship sites that are looking their age are definitely going to find themselves having a FCAZ added to their mix. Fun Center Adventure Zone.
I wish I was smaller.
Yes. Anyway, touched upon in the openings and closing coverage that will be seen in the weekly LBX coverage. One of the things that I pointed to was the addition to competitive socializing of a secondary component. So, if you're a mini golf facility, fundamentally, some of these sites now are thinking about adding a new component. And I pointed to swingers that we talked about previously, who had their Carnival edition, which actually used off-the-shelf amusement components, rebranded and placed into a unique secondary part of their facility. And surprise, surprise, in Australia, our friends at Fun Lab have gone down the same path. All minds are sort of heading down the same direction, which is bloody hell, our single entertainment competitive socializing site doesn't have the same grip on the audience because it becomes a one and done kind of establishment. Well, our friends at Fun Lab and their mini golf operation called Holy Moly, lovely name, have decided that their flagship site in Melbourne is they've just added a basement component, which they call Fun House. And down there, it's social entertainment. They've rejigged their bar and food offering, and they've created a space for adult carnival-style entertainment. And I can tell you that they are not the only ones that are thinking about adding a secondary, if not a tertiary, entertainment component to their general mix. Watch this space. Looking a little bit at the wider field, amusement industry has had a kind of a red-headed stepchild in its midst with the Golden Tee golf phenomena. Everybody who's anybody knows about Golden Tee golf's stranglehold in the tavern market in American sector. An entertainment and amusement entertainment product that was birthed in the arcade scene, was very strong on its tournament play, connected networks, one of the first to have network tournaments, one of the first to do championship games, one of the first to do regional heats and leagues. And suddenly this product had a life of its own, and it was the tavern market, the hospitality sector that really took the machine away from the amusement sector, said, if you're not going to treat this right, we will, and they have run with the ball. To the point that Incredible Technologies has such a strong following in the big buck hunter sector, as well as they have such a big following in the Golden Tee golf. Now, move on a couple of years and that model separated, and the big buck hunter component was separated out. Play Mechanics, who developed the game for Incredible Technologies, then ran with the ball separately, and they have found great success. The Raw Thrills, Play Mechanics, Bets and Support, but still a product that finds its main support in the bar and club sector more than in the amusement sector, though there are a number of amusement sites I know that run big buck hunter machines. Some of them just run them as amusement machines, not even plugged into the tournament network, which drives me mad. All of the business that you're losing from the support of the tournaments. And what did we have? We had the 17th annual Big Buck Hunter World Championships take place in their traditional home of Chicago. I'd love to go to one of these. I'm going to have to maybe next year, make some time to kill two birds with one stone, crawl around my favorite bars in Chicago, and then crawl into, and I think I'll have to do it the other way around. I will have to go to the World Championship and then crawl around some of my favorite bars in Chicago. But again, big crowd, big support, big following, record numbers, streamed live. So if you want a definition of how does esports fit into the amusement mix, I give you Big Buck Hunter, I give you Golden Tee Golf.
Yeah.
Though sadly, our industry, the amusement industry, is a little bit myopic to the concept of esports or to streamed entertainment. I know when I speak to one individual who runs a facility about, oh wow, it was streamed, I then had to spend 20 minutes explaining what the streaming actually means. So our industry, has to get with it, has to get good. But again, congratulations to the teams and the individuals that won. If you want more details, jump onto the Play Mechanics website. And I think they still have some of the video from the nail-biting finish. Really good gameplay there all. Now, dating this particular sound off, we're recording this a couple of days after Elon Musk wowed the world with his robo taxi and his robots, and a lot of, so we say, rumbling regarding the Tesla event, rumbling to such a level that about 8% of the share price, multi-billion dollars, was knocked off of the Tesla share price because of a misunderstanding. And this particular misunderstanding kind of holds sway with what we're looking at in the future of our industry, which is the use of robotics and the ability to have robots as our future servers, dispensers of drinks and food, and even cleaning the facilities. What is the difference between the so we say Tesla robots that were shown at the ubiquitous We Robot event, and what is the difference between the robots that we are now starting to employ in location-based entertainment, serving drinks, delivering pizzas? Our systems in our sector are autonomous. And what I mean by autonomy is that there isn't a man controlling them. They aren't radio controlled. They are programmed. Their algorithm information, their machine learning allows them to deliver you your piping hot latte the way you love it. again and again and again and again, or they delivered the pizza to table 6 and 7 and 8 again and again and again and again. They don't need any human interaction other than the launch command, maybe from the waiter, or the order command from the person who's buying the coffee. What was seen at the We Robot event was not autonomous. They were actually tele-operated. What we mean by tele-operated, if you look at the slide there, you see individuals wearing virtual reality headsets and gauntlets, and those gauntlets, when they move their hands and move their arms, the robots, wherever they are hidden, move their arms and turn their head and can be interact with the guests. These are radio controlled, tele-operated. These are not autonomous. Tesla tells us that these will be autonomous, and there was a little bit of confusion, bad information from their founder, or miscommunication from their founder, should I say, that they were autonomous at the event when really it was found out to be tele-operated. Some people are using the word puffery to describe the mistake. It wasn't a lie, it wasn't a misspeaking, it was puffery, saying something is going to happen as if it has already happened. I'm not going to get into the semantics of that. I'm just going to say that tele-operated robots are not a new idea. I love the Wizard of Oz quote, and anyone that goes to the Friends of the Stinger Report Facebook group will see that I created a meme based upon that particular Wizard of Oz statement. But pay no attention to the man behind the curtain is very apt for what was happening at the We Robot Tesla event. But it has also been something that we have had in our industry for a long time. I can remember going back to the 70s, trade show floors where there were robots, wheeled robots, grinding up and down booths, with talking in robotic voices, when really they were being controlled by a man behind the curtain with a radio control device and a microphone. We have also seen more recently tele-operated systems being deployed in the construction business site. CAT, manufacturers of large excavation equipment, actually have versions of their bulldozer that are controlled remotely by operators sitting in control centers. So this is something that's happening, and we now have garbage collection robots at certain localities, where, or even in hazardous environments, where the operator is using virtual reality headsets to view the environment and using hand gauntlet controllers to steer the robot. That teleoperation also has a kind of non-robotic but still teleoperated presence. Those that have watched the Sounds Off will remember that I was talking about the Amazon facilities and the Just Go sites, where you didn't have to go to the cash register. The cameras tracked you and saw what you put into your basket or into your pockets and charged you accordingly, leaving the facility. It was later revealed that many of those operations were not being viewed by an autonomous computer system using machine learning, but was actually being operated by someone in India, looking at the cameras and doing the calculations manually. That was being done, we're told, by Amazon to help build up a profile for their machine learning. Many of us also think that it may be cheaper to have remote teleoperators than to pay the vast amounts of money to actually have AGI, or whatever you want to call it this week, AI, operating these machines. Whatever the case, it is mindful that maybe the future for some of our operations will not be totally AI computer-based systems, but maybe teleoperated support systems. I wouldn't be surprised that people who saw the robotic bartenders at the Tesla event might be interested in having their own version of that robot at their facility. That said, our friends at Sandbox VR UK in London have a real autonomous robotic bartender at their facility. Christine?
Yes, fascinating. I'm so glad that you cleared that up. I had so many people coming to me going, oh my gosh, look at this. These robots are real. They're going to take over. I'm like, oh, just relax. This can't be true.
And that's a great way for the sales, for the stock price to crater, because a lot of investors went, wow, look at that. Isn't it amazing? Look at all those taxis working autonomously. Great, fantastic, fantastic. What do you mean they're not AI? What do you mean that there's someone behind the curtain?
Yeah.
Oof, down it went. And it's still going down. And I think they may only be saved. The current owner of the company is a very flamboyant individual at the moment who likes to misspeak. There are a lot of things going on with that individual. So maybe when the smoke clears, the robots can step in and fill the void. Talking about robots, there is a danger, and it's not about the robots crawling over the horizon and trying to take over the world. It's about robots being cussy little creatures. It seems that a manufacturer of one of the Roomba-style robots cleaning electronic devices left a massive hole in their net security, so much so that hackers could break in, and we had a spate across America and Australia of these camera-embedded, voice-controllable robots starting to swear at their owners and going wild. So we are now living science fiction. So again, it goes back to what I was saying previously about this type of technology. It's great, but it needs to be securely installed and protected. It isn't the be-all and end-all of all things. It also has to be treated as a dangerous item. And the last thing you want is your Roomba cleaning the room and using the N-word everywhere. So again, be mindful. And if you have these type of systems and they are linked into your router, change the password. Don't use the factory default. Anyway, I've talked about immersion, and it was clear that I need to go into a little bit more detail about what I mean by immersion. Many of you know that I'm an ex-Walt Disney Imagineer. I work with a number of location-based entertainment facilities, and many of those facilities make it key to their existence that they have a high level of immersion. We talked about in the openings and closings recently about a brand new facility in the Netherlands that is pushing immersion front and center, though I think you'll find that they won't have a virtual reality headset used for that level of immersion, but they will be going for a thematic approach to bringing their audience into that experience. And then we have in the food business and the restaurant business, we also have now the new styles of cafes and restaurants that are also going for a high level of immersion into a particular brand. You can be immersed in a brand, you can be immersed in an experience, you can be immersed in a location, you can even be immersed in a picture. These are all aspects of our industry that we need to be mindful of for the future development of our facilities. As we know, the dictionary definition of immersion comes in 3 flavors. It's to dunk someone in water, obviously. It's to immerse with detail. And the one that we're interested in, which is to engage deeply in an experience, to be totally absorbed by an experience. And that experience in our sector comes in fruity flavors. Again, I apologize for the formatting of the slide, but we use immersion in the entertainment industry in some interesting ways. We use it in the design of the environment. We create themed environments. Walt Disney is personified by creating Main Street USA, which uses false perspective and tugs at the heartstrings of the guests by using familiar objects, sights, and smells. We also have to be transported by that environment. We have to allow the individual to pretend that they are somewhere else. So that is, dispelling disbelief. We also have to allow them to engage in the space, to interact with that space, to raise the levels of immersion. And this is all important when you're thinking about a facility, because there are different levels of immersion. Not every location-based entertainment facility can be Disney World. That said, a Disney World cannot be an arcade. And so one of the things that we need to be mindful of is how the theme park industry looks at immersion. of its audience, and they have a very light touch on the interaction, but a very heavy themality. Then you look at the location-based entertainment industry, where we're using technology to inject people into an immersive environment. And then the amusement industry, where we offer a certain level of engagement through creating an environment where those individuals can have fun. And we create that fun environment to be immersive. And I'll go into a little bit more of that in a minute, but also I wanted to include exhibitions. One of the aspects of the new trend in immersive exhibitions is using projection mapping. We have seen the Dali experience, and we've seen the Monet experience and the Pompeii experience, where museum-style representation is then raised to a level by using projection mapping and placing the people directly into the experience. All of these aspects, all of these sectors have one thing in common, which is they're very highly social. You're not doing this on your own in the majority, you're doing this in groups with people. You're sharing the experience, and immersion is accelerated to the max by that social inclusion. So let's start with location-based entertainment. Agency really is important. The ability to interact with the space is very compelling. Customization, having it your way, is very important. Themality, the design, the layout, even down to the smell and the colors employed in a facility are essential to this, and the engagement. And that engagement is also including the social aspects. But with location-based entertainment, a lot of this immersion is being created through virtual reality or simulator-based systems or media-based attractions. It's important to remember that even if you have this type of technology, you can't depend wholly on it to supply your level of immersion. The guest still has to walk into your facility, put the helmet on, and then walk out of your facility. And if you're going to achieve that level of immersion and engagement that's essential for repeat visitation, then you have to be mindful of inside the VR as well as outside the VR. That said, for the amusement industry has two flavors of immersion. We have the tradition, which we see a number of social entertainment facilities go for the retro feel of their site, where they're harking back to the 70s or the 80s with a stylistic representation of what a classic arcade is. Or you have the modern interpretation of the FEC Family Entertainment Center, where they all kind of follow a similar form factor of having a fun time means the neon carpets, the prize center, the redemption tickets in a bucket, the laser tag, and the constant smell of popcorn. Those are aspects where you are trying to create a generic family entertainment center experience rather than creating an immersive experience. And I'll try and define what I mean by that. The amusement industry has, in its toolbox, certain tools that it can use for that level of immersion. It can immerse the individual through the environment, and not just by having neon lights and black light carpet and painting the walls and ceiling black. It can create a level of engagement based around a theme, a narrative, and that narrative can be represented through the games that you put in, the attractions that you have running in the facilities, even down to the food that you're offering. The audience has to be immersed, so you have to treat everybody coming into your facility as part of a group. Even if they're coming in on their own, you have to make sure that they're enfolded into the group experience. Customization, you need to be able to customize the experience the way you want it. The compelling atmosphere is not just having a nice smell, but also having staff that also can help promote the atmosphere and the immersion level that you're trying to achieve. Immersion doesn't mean trying to say that your facility is based on a castle and that everybody has to dress up as a knight. It also means that it has to have some narrative. It has to have dungeons. It has to have a dragon in the laser tag pit. Those type of things are things to bear in mind. And also it has to be socially interactive. The interactions of the guests within the environment have to be fed back to them, so they feel that there's a lot more to the experience to give them the reason to come back for more. When talking about amusement, there's one approach to location-based immersion, and then when talking about location-based VR, the technology is still in its infancy compared to the traditional amusement mix. But as I have talked about in the openings and closing sections of the LBX weekly report, this is now a very large market. We have facilities with 50, 60, 70, even 100 chains of their operation, and they are offering a brand and they're offering a level of immersion and engagement to their audience that has to be kept, that has to be built upon, and has to be compelling enough for that magical repeat visitation. And the tools in their arsenal are the immersive virtual environments, the technology that they use, the head-mounted technology. The immersive environments is one aspect that we're seeing wanting in a number of these sites, where they don't really go for a high level of themality. They just go for a standardized environment, and they leave the virtual reality to do all of the whiz bangs. I think they're leaving cheddar on the table by not creating an immersive brand from walking across the threshold into the facility. Whenever you take off the helmet in one of these, in certain of these location-based VR facilities, you're standing in a very plain environment, a very empty environment with the tracker squares dotted around it. I can't see why these environments can't be decorated to a higher level, so you are walked into a space, put the helmet on, transported, and then transported back after taking the helmet off. Not all facilities do that. A number of companies I know actually go for quite a high level of theming to transport individuals who've never done VR before, in most cases, into the virtual space. The agency through the virtual games, of course, and of course the social inclusion. The one thing that separates us in the VR sector, in the out-of-home entertainment sector, against the consumer sector, is that we are a social multiplayer, playing with people that you know and have touched and even bump into while you're playing these games, rather than sitting at home all alone in your underwear, hoping that the person that you're talking to in the virtual experience is a human being and not a bot. Those are the prices to be paid. And then we have to touch on social entertainment, because social entertainment is also looking at a very high level of themality now, and they're looking at a very high level of immersion now. Now, they're lucky. They can theme their sites quite heavily, picking one of the many crazy mini golf kinds of environment. They go for a very high level quality of themality, from the characters that they have in the space, the way they've decorated the space, even the interactions with the various holes or courses in the experience. They are audience-based. They're primarily audience-based. Most social entertainment facilities fixate on the group entertainment experience. You go with a business group, you go with friends, you go with business colleagues, friends, birthday party groups, or all of the girls from the typing pool, showing my age. And then there's a unique aspect to this immersion, which is we have an experience amplifier in social entertainment, a very familiar amplifier, and that is alcohol. And the ability to inject alcohol into the entertainment experience transcribes it to a new level of engagement, which is always very compelling. And then, of course, the social inclusion is very important to this mix. Anyway, I've talked about what is, and let me just wind down this part by talking about what it isn't. And breaking the illusion is essential to avoid. If you have an immersive environment with high levels of themality, be sure that that themality is carried on into the toilets. Be sure that that themality is carried out onto the doorstep of your facility, even into the parking lot if possible. Use that as a brand incentivizer. So when they go onto your website, they know what they're going to experience because you have created an immersive brand experience. Going back to that customer charter that I talked about at the beginning of this presentation. Poor implementation, tired, badly laid out or badly rendered immersive themality is the worst. You know, going into a laser tag space and seeing tired murals, or even seeing badly painted murals that are losing their blacklight capability is always very sad. You know, being sure that you have social inclusion, that is also on the social media front as well as in the facility. Make sure that your guests are you know, brought into the experience by your staff that have been briefed well. You know, crude agency and engagement can ruin this, and confused narrative. You know, having a castle-themed amusement space and then having a spaceship fly through it is a little bit jarring unless it's a space symphony. You know, be careful of how your narrative works. Don't overdo it. Try and come up with a good level of immersion that really generates a strong feeling from your audience and is unique. One of the things I always remember about immersion is a retail store in California called Fry's. And in their Los Angeles facility, where I used to live, they had totally themed their space out there. You know, this is a retail store selling electrical goods, but it was themed out as if it was a 1950s sci-fi experience. And in the front, there was a Jeep being cut in half by a laser beam being fired by an alien that was standing over the cash register. There was a UFO crashed into the roof of the facility. And there was all of the B-movie paraphernalia as themality around you buying a big flat screen TV or a new washer dryer. Themality can be made a joke, but also themality can be made a compelling item that makes it easier to describe your facility to other people and to pull other people in to see what everybody's talking about. Anyway, I've talked about immersion at some point in time. The next subject I'm going to have to deal with is what do we mean by experience and experiential, but that is for another time. Anyway, Christine, I've zipped through that. Anything jumped out at you?
Well, you know, it's something that I find, I'm going to pull this slide. Oh, sorry. Something that I find really interesting is this trend around how we've gone through COVID. People forgot how to make friends. And I know this is a big thing that's trending where people are still learning how to make friends. And I wonder, with all these social experiences that we're creating, these social, you know, events and stuff, are we going to be struggling to get people there because they don't have friends to come to these experiences with?
Well, that's when you do Wednesday come alone days. You know, singles nights in the grocery stores used to be very popular in America. I still think in certain territories it still is. But if you're worried that you don't have enough couples or groups, and that you may have, you know, you have to be, you take an example, you take a leaf out of the book of the college-based entertainment facilities. If you want to talk about lonely, sad, single individuals, then a college town is full of them. And the great icebreaker is to make sure that the taverns have an engaging environment and atmosphere that encourages people, even on their own, to come in and socialize. We are social animals, no matter how gothic you may be.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And then I really love the whole piece about, you know, I mean, the immersion part. Like, I'm glad that you clarified that for everybody, because I think it's something a lot of people don't think about when they're building out their entertainment centers. And I think, you know, one of the big first steps you need to do is write the narrative. What does the guest experience need to look like when they come through your facility, and what do you want to create for them, right? And then put that in as a percentage of your budget. You know, it has to be factored in. You're not just slapping paint on the wall or some carpet on the floor. Like, you have to make it immersive. You have to make them feel like they've come into a different world or there's someplace special. And then you have to continually update it. That's the thing. It has to change every 2 to 3 years to get them to keep on coming back and stay fresh. So
if you're smart, you create a brief that has 3 components to it. You start with the first component, and then you migrate to the 2 other components as you upgrade every 5 or 10 years, depending on or even 2 years, depending on how much competition you have to fight against or how much you want to improve your brand to appeal to a wider audience. Those upgrade elements don't have to be major tonal shifts, but they do have to be upgrades and improvements and enhancements, and that means that your themality has to be able to compete. The best example I can give, really, what we're seeing seeing going on now is what's happening with Chuck E. Cheese, which is we all fundamentally have a rough idea what a Chuck E. Cheese facility is, but we can now see that it is trying to reinvent its themality and its engagement, its experiential and its immersion to its audience and the new audience it wants to attract.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, I guess that's a wrap for today. Thank you for such a lovely education on immersion. Hopefully everybody takes that to heart. And we will see you all next time on the next Sound Off. Take care, guys.
Bye.